something strange is happening to some ordinary people.
Yeah, that's Jack. Real nice man. What'd he do, rob a bank?
He's a law-abiding taxpayer minding his own business. Killed 12 people, wounded 23 more, stole 6 cars, most of them Ferraris. If anybody deserves to go that way, it sure in the hell's him.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast That Wouldn't Die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Ciao.
This week, we'll be discussing the science fiction crime. I don't know what this is. The Hidden, starring Michael Nouri and a young Kyle MacLachlan. Kind of crazy young in this. So good times had by all. Each week on the podcast That Wouldn't Die, we discuss guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the horror and sci-fi genre with a comedic twist. Aaron, how are you doing?
Oh my God. I got the shingle shot Friday. I was just bopping around town. I'm like, I got the first one. But a year later, I realized I was supposed to go back 3 months later. Like, no, we can give it to you right now. I'm like, what? After they gave me the shot, they're like, I'm like, what are the side effects? Because last time I had it with the COVID, which crushed me the next day. I'm like, pretty much the same side effects. I was like, oh shit, because I was supposed to go out to dinner. This is why I have my vacation was bullshit. Exactly. I had the exact same reaction as the COVID shot. So I was like walking around after it, because I'd walked downtown. Got my shot and was shopping, getting my car detailed, and I was standing at a store, and all of a sudden, like this wave, and I almost lost balance. I was like, uh-oh.
With a shingle.
But everyone at work is getting like the shingles on their face, and it looks like an alien scar, like its tentacle wrapped around their face. And I did not want to get a shingle in the eye, so I needed to get it.
Night is what you're saying, right?
Oh my God! I went home, slept for 3 hours, went out to dinner, felt okay, woke up at like 5 a.m. with fever dreams of terror, with a headache, like my head was going to explode. So basically, I laid in bed all day yesterday with Tylenol PM, drifting in and out of comas, watching movies like this. I think I watched It's Alive in my fever coma.
Well, thank you for that little walk down memory lane.
You're gonna get.
I guess. My goodness.
As a non sequitur, one time I was getting frozen yogurt when my son was a baby, and I was living in Long Beach. And I asked the guy at the yogurt place how he was doing. He's like, well, my girlfriend just got an abortion. And I was very upset about this. I was like, what the f***? That's what happens when you ask. Went on and on. How very upset he was. I'm like, can I get sprinkles with that, please?
I'm just making polite conversation, sir. Sweet Jesus. Give us your 30-second synopsis on that cheery note. The Hidden.
I mean, aliens chasing other aliens. They always look like some kind of a slug squid that live inside of you. Yet another alien that lives inside of you, but who's such a bust. If the aliens weren't just on a blitzkrieg listening to their heavy metal driving fast cars, they probably would have never been caught. But because you're such a blow-it, then another alien has to hunt you down. But if you were cool, you might have slipped by this. But because you're not cool, I was like, what's the whole point? What is the whole point? You create a ruckus wherever you are. This is not a very good way of hiding. Anyway, Kyle MacLachlan, an FBI agent, comes to track him down. Within 3 seconds, you'll realize he is an alien, too. And, people get shot. The good triumphs over evil, kind of. Kyle MacLachlan lives forever. It really was like Twin Peaks if it was in L.A. Right. There was no log lady, if only there was.
If only. I mean, Kyle Kyle MacLachlan's performance in this movie is very similar to Agent Cooper from Twin
Well,
Peaks.
Kyle,
He's basically the
I
same
mean,
character.
I enjoy Kyle MacLachlan, but he is a Kevin Costner. He is Kyle.
Here we
Go
go.
back.
Here we
He is Kyle. He was Kyle when he was in Sex and the City. He's still Kyle. Kyle's Kyle.
No,
It's
but
just
you
that
kinda like him.
strange lack. I do like him. Well, see, that's the thing. If you're just going to be the same character everywhere, you need to be a likable character. See, Kevin Costner, I always thought was kind of a douche. But
Everyone knows
Kyle, I mean, nothing personal. I'm sure if I met him, he's a lovely person. That just hasn't been my Hollywood experience.
Interesting.
But Kyle is just odd. He has no facial expression. I don't know if he's on the spectrum or what the story is, but I still like him. He's the exact same character whether it's this or Twin Peaks or Sex and the City. Quite frankly, it made Sex and the City a little more Twin Peaky.
No question.
If only he found an ear when he was walking out of his brownstone. So.
That's what I'm saying. Be it Blue Velvet, be
Yeah.
it Dune, MacLachlan's gonna MacLachlan, is what you're saying.
He's a MacLachlanator.
The
So,
MacLachlan group. Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
he's not doing Shakespeare in the Park, okay? Let's just say that.
Have you ever seen this movie before?
Never heard of it.
Never even heard of it.
No, never. Oh my God! But it is B-level acting.
Oh,
Right in the center of soap opera acting. That's where it is.
Oh,
It's shenanigans. It's
How dare you.
shenanigans.
I honestly don't remember this movie being in theaters, but I do recall being in junior high, spending the night at a friend's house, and this was on like Movie Channel or something. And we watched it. I'd never heard of it before. I didn't know who Kyle MacLachlan was. I'm having a hard time saying MacLachlan, by the way. So get ready, ladies
It's
and gentlemen.
like our Celtic people. It should just roll off your tongue.
It should. I don't know what's happening. And I
You've
damn
been
sure didn't know Michael
Americanized.
Nouri. I didn't know Michael Nouri either. So now, who was not as big a star? See, I thought he was in a ton of stuff. And maybe he was, but it was basically this and Flashdance. And that's
Interesting though, and soap operas, because Michael Nouri was looking good right here. This is the peak good looking Michael Nouri, but like I said, soap opera level acting.
Well, I mean, Kyle MacLachlan looks like he's about 21.
Yeah.
And Michael Nouri looks kind of a weathered, kind of 45, maybe. What do you think?
He is not 45. He's probably like 32.
But he's an 80s 32, is what you're saying.
He's a 1980s 32, yes.
Well, and this is apropos of nothing. I've been watching those Friday the 13th movies in preparation because, ladies and gentlemen, you may not know this, but coming up sometime later this year, we're going to be doing a Friday the 13th Megapod. So prepare yourself.
When you say we, you mean not me.
Erin has bowed out of this one. She pulled the ripcord and jumped out of the plane. But in that first movie, spoiler alert, we discover who the killer is, and you think it's this old woman. She was 52 years old. In that movie.
Yikes.
She was barely a few years older than me and more than a few years younger than you. So strange.
Oh my God. Well, Sunset Boulevard, when it's Gloria Swanson all washed up, she's 42 years old.
That's Hollywood for you.
That was just some rough Hollywood years. Although her skin looked perfect.
It's like pearly white. Let's jump right in, shall we, to the hidden, the highlights. What you got?
Oh my God! How about when you're a douchebag and you buy a Ferrari, because these are '80s Ferraris,
yes.
So they look extra douchey. You also get free cocaine at the dealership. Do you like that? He had a tiny Ferrari with the back opened up, and it was full of cocaine.
Oh, it's dynamite. That's literally the car dealer. If you're the car dealer of Ferraris in the 80s, it's just standard. I've got some coke right here on my desk for all my clients to use. It's the 80s.
That's right. Let's get coked up and go race some $100,000 cars. Woo-hoo!
Absolutely. Let the good times roll.
Our white linen suits. That was beautiful.
There are a lot of questions about this movie. Because basically what they say, so there's an alien who kind of climbs in your mouth. And I have to say that the alien climbing in the mouth was kind of gross. That was like
It
an
was
unsettling scene.
it was. It was like some kind of weird gag porn. But I mean, physically impossible because it
Yes.
was like giving birth through your mouth. It's just
Yes.
not going to do that. The jaw just doesn't unhinge. It was
It was like a
way too
slug
big.
the size of a cat,
It was
essentially going in your mouth.
it was a slugtopus because it
Yes.
also had tentacles.
Yes, and it was slimy. It was a remarkably effective, gross moment. But you're right, physically
I would
impossible.
say much better than the thing. I'll just put that out there.
Here you go. So this alien, it's like an alien criminal on the loose, is what we're supposed to think, I guess. But who's just into heavy metal, fast cars, and that's about it. And that's about it. Now he'll steal. This is the craziest thing. If he just steals everything, then why is he robbing banks? He doesn't need the money. If he's just stealing it, he's not buying
Yeah.
things.
That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Nothing makes sense. There's a lot of question marks here. And of course, the alien just keeps swapping bodies out as each body breaks down sometimes. I mean, it really makes sense. You shoot the guy in the head, he's still going, and then just eventually dies. Then the creature crawls out and jumps into the next host.
That's correct. Beginning of the movie starts out kind of effectively because you see the guy, you see just some dude walk into a bank, shoot down the security guards or whatever, grab the bags of money, climb into his black Ferrari, crank up the heavy metal, and just go on a car chase with cops chasing him. At this point, we don't know anything other than the dude turns to the camera in the bank and smiles at it
And
before
he
he
looks
shoots
good.
again.
Good looking good, like a very light tan kind of linen suit with topsiders with no socks. Love that look. That was a thing.
Glasses, little
Glasses,
wireframe
looking
glasses,
good.
and like a beige trench coat. And he drives a black Ferrari. And then there's the 80s like car chase montage where it's just nonstop people wandering through the street right in time for the Ferrari to crash into them. There's the
No. He's now like on a sidewalk. He's on a sidewalk
through the
in
park.
a busy park in LA, and nobody happens to be on the sidewalk except for a man in a wheelchair. Whose nurse quickly abandons him and dives off.
That was my favorite part. Yes. The nurse is pushing some old man in the park, and the Ferrari comes around the corner and just bears down. The nurse says, "Deuces. I'm out." Does not even try to pull the wheelchair out of the way.
No.
The wheelchair goes flying, corpse bouncing. Very upsetting. But it lets you know that this dude does not giza. Clearly. There's the other scene that I was talking about where it's like two guys walking across the busy street carrying a pane of glass.
Oh,
That's
God.
what they do.
Oh my God! You have what? Are we still doing that? Is that still a thing? I mean, didn't they do that in Laurel and Hardy days? What is this?
Yes, it is
We're
Keystone
still
Cops.
bringing that up. There's the Keystone Cops. These are the Keystone Cops.
If you know you're carrying a huge pane of glass, why not park on the correct side of the street? Let's do that so we're not walking across the freeway. We're not walking across the freeway with this huge pane of glass. But that's neither here nor there. Of course, the car drives right through it, hits them. Corpses are just lining the street at this stage of the game. Very upsetting.
Well, how about when they finally get the dude to crash? The original incarnation. He gets out of the car. He seems to be totally unarmed. So 9 police officers just start shooting.
Now,
So
that
that's
was believable.
Yeah, that's when you knew you were really in LA.
That's correct. That was the most believable part. Yes, he gets horrible car accident. The killer gets out of the car unarmed, and the cops just unload on him. Boom, 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 boom. It's a sad situation. So at this point, he had been shot a few times. So we know there's something up with him. We don't know if he's the Terminator or what the story is.
I mean, Kevin, all right, so it doesn't hurt you and all that. It may not kill you. But one of the other incarnations gets shot in both shoulders several times. I would assume things would just stop working after you don't have a shoulder. How are your arms working?
That is correct. These are
Just asking for a friend.
the muscles, the tendons. Yes, eventually the stuff is not going to work as well anymore.
One would think. One would think.
So I guess the idea is that the alien rides in these bodies until, I mean, long past where they should be dead meat, essentially, right? But eventually it gets too damaged and then crawls out and then crawls into somebody else's mouth, and then the story continues.
Well, and the beauty is whenever the host dies, there only ever is one other person by, or a dog.
Yes, convenient.
Convenient, never dies in front of a crowd.
That's correct. That's because you're right. When the cops gun him down, the Ferrari explodes again, as though it was loaded with napalm. I mean, it goes up, mushroom cloud in the sky, and body's still alive, so they take him to the hospital. But of course, he's a burned mess, and that's when we see the creature. Go ahead.
Why did the car explode? That's what confused me. Because then I thought, well, maybe they're not shooting him; they're shooting next to him to explode the car. Because that's really what happened. The car just doesn't randomly blow up, so that makes also no goddamn sense.
Well, I think the bullets were passing through his body into the gas tank.
How come they don't pass through the alien?
That's an excellent. You're absolutely right. Like, if you're getting shot, the bullets are going through your body. The alien's in your body. You think it would take a few shells? I mean, your rib cage isn't bulletproof, as far as I know. I'm not a doctor.
Shenanigans.
It's a lot of shenanigans. I wrote down yucky mouth creature because
you don't want to kiss. You kiss your mama with that mouth.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Wait a minute, Kevin. Did you shave off your mustache, or is it just the light?
It's the light. It's trimmed. You can still see.
Right.
It's trimmed, but there's a bright light. This is not good. The audience at home doesn't know what the hell you're talking about. Anyway, I trimmed it.
Involve him. All right.
So the second body he climbs into is like an old dude with like a heart issue. So for the next 20 minutes, you hear a lot of burping and belching and body
horror. The hospital for gas.
Clearly, some indigestion. So he'll be in a restaurant blasting the rock music, and the waitress walks by, and then you hear like blah, blah, blah. The waitress. Is this played for comedy? I wasn't sure if we were supposed to be laughing at this moment or what's happening.
I just kept waiting for the vomiting to start, and thankfully we did not see that.
Thankfully. So we meet Kyle MacLachlan. Michael Nouri was the cop, the LA cop, trying to track down this dude who was a law-abiding citizen until 2 weeks ago, and now he's a deranged serial killer, thrill killer on the loose, essentially. Right. And Kyle MacLachlan is allegedly a FBI agent here to track down this killer. But again, something's up with Kyle MacLachlan, but it's hard to know if it's just his acting style or if there's something else going on. These are often questions.
It is often questions. As soon as he gets in, Michael Nouri gets in the car with Kyle MacLachlan. It's a Porsche.
Yeah.
A gold Porsche, and asks how much it is, and basically tells him it's stolen.
Right. He's like, I don't know how much it costs. Well, would you steal it? Yeah.
He's like, yes.
Right.
So again, fast cars. It would have been funny if he was also putting in Judas Priest or something while he was cruising town.
What did he pop in anything? Perry Como or Percy Faith?
No, he wasn't really rocking it. So that was him going deep cover.
Yes, but he also drove recklessly. Like quickly, like in residential areas going 90. It was a lot of those kind of moments where it's like the aliens have to drive fast.
And no fear that anyone's going to run those plates of a stolen Porsche. No one's looking for a stolen Porsche.
Right. Well, and it's like, okay. Later it's revealed he's not an FBI agent. Like even his like he's stolen the identity of an FBI agent, and he stole this car because you got to do it. So I mean, is he really a good guy either? It's hard to say.
He can't drive 55. I mean, is he a good guy? He's just a guy out for revenge. Is he a space cop? Is it one of those situations? I mean, he implies that this dude
His
killed his
partner was
partner.
killed by this killer, and then his wife and daughter were killed as well. So that was a later thing. When Michael Nouri unexpectedly and inexplicably invites crazy Kyle MacLachlan, he's like,
To come
"Hey,
stay at our house.
yes, not just stay for dinner, but please curl up in the guest room. I met you
And
today."
come into my daughter's bedroom. I want you to meet my small child. So it was
And
all
they share a
creepy.
particularly creepy moment as well, where the daughter and the alien look at each other with a pedo in the eye. Who's to say? Very upsetting. And again, Kyle MacLachlan cannot keep it together. Even at the table where he's trying to talk to them, he cannot just pretend to be a normal dude. It's always some weird. First of all, he gets hammered drinking light beer. Uh, and then just says stuff that has them constantly going looking at each other like, what? What are you talking about?
That was in case you hadn't already figured out he was an alien. He doesn't know any slang. He doesn't know anything about anything.
Right. You can't just keep it together.
No.
No.
I like when he's taking bites out of the Alka-Seltzer.
Right. Well, so there was the first joke because he's suffering from a hangover. So he gives him the Alka-Seltzer and takes a bite out of it. He's like, no, it's Alka-Seltzer. You put it in water. So then later in the movie, somebody brings him an aspirin, and he drops the aspirin in the water.
And then he's like trying to get the aspirin that is now stuck to the bottom of the glass. He's like,
He's an alien. Cut him some slack. So okay, later in the movie, now the alien with the old man. What was up with there was like a little weird tentacle squirting out of his arm? Did you notice that?
Yeah. And then I wrote that down. What's that about? You're the alien. Are you saying you can't keep yourself together? That you're springing loose? And then he tapes it down? What is that? What was that supposed to be? Kyle MacLachlan is not like springing a leak. I mean, what is this?
Well, they established that this body had a heart condition. Now, why that causes
makes your
blood to
tentacle
squirt out of your arm and a tentacle squirt out? No
Exactly.
explanation. Because you're right. It's like this should all be working together, right? This is when you take over the body. Now it's just one identity, right? It shouldn't be like,
Right.
oh damn, this tentacle's squirting out. It's your damn tentacle.
That's right. You would think you would have control over your parts of your body.
You would think. You would think. Now, what happens? He sees a couple walking together in the park or something. So he's like, well, I'm going to go to a strip club. I'm going to go to a strip club and then just kind of be creepy at the bar. I don't know what his plan at this point was at all. Who knows what's happening?
Well, first of all, how do they speak English? And how would they be even interested in the strip club?
Right.
Reverse it. If you were now pretending to be a slug person, would watching other slugs slop around on a bar be hot for you? Give me a break.
I mean, how good looking are those female slugs is my only question. I mean, who's to say? I don't want to close any doors.
I would assume looking at a human would be just as horrific as us looking at the slug.
But he doesn't seem to be interested in the female stripper who does the most bizarre 80s strip. This was even more bizarre than Vamp, frankly. She's on stage wearing a huge shoulder pad, leather jacket, does a 5-minute routine, and no nudity. It was the weirdest. It was like, what is this, a classier 80s strip club? A strip club with no stripping.
It's a gentleman's club.
That's the difference. I think that's what it comes down to. But he takes over her body for some reason.
Did you see her crazy outfit where the G-string is built into the dress?
There was a lot of issues with this. Number one, her boobs looked like she was wearing some kind of an appliance. Like she was a drag queen or something. It didn't look like a real chest at all. And then when you saw her from behind, it was like, check out my butt cleavage. It was it was the weirdest.
Oh my God.
It was a strange outfit, to say the least. So now she's the killer. Because again, Michael Nouri's like, what the hell? You're after this dude. We killed him yesterday, and now his body's dead in the hospital. And Kyle MacLachlan's like, oh, no, no. Now it's the old man who is in the bed next to him. Oh, no, no. Now it's the stripper at the bar. So eventually.
And he's not putting it together. And he's not like, what do you mean? Well, it can't be this was all set up. He was trying to make it seem like, oh, well, the other guy must have been there visiting. Well, wouldn't a Czech realize he was the dude in the bed next door?
Right.
Nobody asked questions?
Right. Well, he tries to say like they're in it together.
Right.
Like they were partners or something. But again, it's like this dude had no criminal record until he became a raving psychopath. And now this dude, who happened to share a hospital bed with him, now he's the raving psychopath.
Right. Like, and they all set it up with the stripper and the 3 police officers and a dog. It's all been set up together.
Now, I mean, inevitably, Kyle MacLachlan eventually tells him, hey, there's an alien thing going down. And you always watch these movies and you're like, do you look down on the detective for not going, you know what, nothing else makes sense? Or, I mean, I don't know what's an appropriate reaction when you're faced with this conclusion. I don't know.
There's a lot of questions. How about when Michael Nouri eventually arrests Kyle MacLachlan with no charges? Arrest him. Okay.
Go ahead and arrest him. Why? Don't ask me why. Okay.
Yeah, just lock him up. That's how we do it.
This is America. That's how we do
it.
What
are the charges? For being strange?
For being strange.
People are strange.
People are strange.
There was one funny thing when they were figuring out that Kyle MacLachlan is not who he says he is.
Yeah.
They're like, I had them wire a picture of the detective, and it's an 8x10 glossy. How do you wire an 8x10 glossy?
Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
Quite frankly, I'm not even sure what it means when you wire someone or something. That's not even a fax. What the F is that on the dot matrix?
Yes, it's a precursor to the fax machine, but you're right. It's not an 8x10 glossy with a signature in the corner. With the autograph.
Oh my best, Kyle.
Right, exactly. Did you notice Danny Trejo in this movie?
Well, I knew he was in it, but as soon as he appeared, I was like, yeah, good job, Daddy, with like a blonde mullet or something. Highlights.
He was in the jail cell.
Yeah.
When they're having the shootout in the hallways, Danny Trejo's like, hey man, let me out. And of course just gets gunned down. He's in This is 5 years at least prior to Desperado or whatever. So this is young Danny Trejo, who still looked like he was 65 years old.
He still looks like he was 65, but it was just the beginning. He had no idea how famous he would become. And did you notice that the guy from Law and Order, when he bends over to check on the fallen officer, gets shot in the penis?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. The one
gotta hurt.
Was he like the original assistant district attorney on Law and Order? I'm trying to remember.
I think it was like early days.
He was like Michael Moriarty's assistant or something.
Not assistant, like that.
But something like that. He was one of the Order guys. Like, because remember, Law and Order has had 1,000 different cast members. The original ones were like Paul Sorvino was one of the cops on Law and Order. I mean,
basically, they took everyone who was in Oz on HBO and dropped them into Law and Order. There's literally
every Law and Order.
I'm just telling you, it was mirror cast. Everybody who had ever been in Oz was in Law and Order. I want you to think about that. Absolutely. Well, with the exception of the women.
Very upsetting.
Well, there weren't a lot of women in the men's prison. That was a great show, by the way.
That does make sense. Edie Falco, wasn't she on Oz? She was like a nurse or something. I don't know, Nurse Jackie. I don't remember. I never watched Oz.
Edie Falco wasn't
Prison Rape not high on my list.
Oh, it was good. Because J.K., what's his name? J.K. Simmons was the white supremacist. And then the fake John Copeland, he was in Special Victims Unit. I mean,
That
and
doesn't
then we
mean
think
anything.
John Copeland's our cousin, who we think looks just like that one officer from
Chris
Law and Order.
Maloney
Chris Maloney.
on
He's a
Special Victims
doppelganger.
Unit.
Special Victim with Mariska Haggerty, and she's still rocking it.
She's doing her thing, no question,
Yeah.
no question. So
I just want to say that Law and Order was so prevalent. I mean, I think it's still on. I'm not watching it anymore. But I remember being in Italy, and I was on the patio, and it was a courtyard, and I was hanging my laundry out. And from at least 4 rooms, I heard "dum."
Absolutely, ripped from the jaws of the headlines.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? So the evil alien spontaneously decides that he wants to be in the senator's body. Did you suddenly get this bizarre motivation? Seemed to make no sense at all.
And his assistant watched the whole thing from the closet and never said a word. What was the point of doing her POV if she's then not going to say anything?
That's correct. These are important questions. Well, it's
nonsensical.
Yeah, it makes no sense. So eventually Michael Nouri realizes that this is really what's going down. His boss gets taken over by the creature because when the stripper is shot down and jumped off the roof, the alien jumped out of her mouth into the dog's mouth. Because, of course, the lieutenant brought brought Rover with him to the crime scene for some reason.
As one does.
As one does. I mean, now, look, I live in Orange County. Not out of the realm of possibility. But back in the 80s, people left their damn dogs at home. Anyway,
that's how God intended.
As Jesus spoke. The dog jumps on the man and spits the creature into his mouth. So he goes to the place, and he's just walking down the hall, getting guns and just shooting up the place. People are very quick to shoot their buddies, by the way. You know, he just looks like the lieutenant. Shoot him, okay?
All right.
I never liked him much anyway.
It was an angrier time. Less gun control.
Basically. So he turns into the creature. He gets shot down, jumps into another cop. So basically, by the end of the movie, all the cops are dead.
That's
all
right.
the cops in Los Angeles, dead. That Richard Brooks from Law and Order gets shot in the dick. Because they think they've shot down the lieutenant. He goes to check on him. Get away from him. Too late. Takes 2 right in the nards. So he's dead.
One of the good scenes is at the end, Kyle MacLachlan has a flamethrower to kill the senator after he's been shot like 30 times. Yes. But the amusing thing is, as soon as he starts firing the flamethrower, everyone stands down. So just watch it happen.
That's okay. Yes. Earlier in the movie, Law and Order's like, look at this. It's a portable flamethrower. You knew that was coming back. That's Chekhov's flamethrower. Where'd you get that flamethrower from? Some gangbanger from Crenshaw? It's like you took a flame. Yeah, they have flamethrowers now. So yes, you knew that was coming back. When
in the jail, he had a bazooka.
Took a bazooka. Yeah, exactly.
And he had a, what do you call those? Oh my God, I forgot what they're called.
Grenade.
A grenade, which he lobs into the jail also.
That's correct.
I don't remember him walking in with all that. Do you remember him walking in with a bazooka and a grenade? I mean, the grenade maybe was in his pocket, but the bazooka, I mean, am I having brain damage? I don't remember him walking in with a bazooka strapped to his back.
So when Kyle MacLachlan gets arrested, they take away all his stuff, including his crazy alien gun that shoots like a little laser. So there's a scene where, you know, some forensics guy is testing the weapons as they do, and he grabs the laser gun and starts shooting the wall until the wall explodes. Boom.
Right.
Which alerts Kyle MacLachlan that his weapon's been fired, and the crazy slug man that the weapon's been fired. So then they all converge in there. And he goes in there. Evil lieutenant takes a bunch of guns. Michael Nouri goes in there, grabs a grenade, grabs a few more things, to help with the shootout. So there's something going on there. And what they realize is that the laser doesn't work on people, evidently.
Just on walls.
Works on walls.
And aliens.
And on the aliens. Now, the slug creature, I guess, is immune to the flamethrowers or the bullets ripping through the bodies. It can only be killed by the crazy laser. So Kyle MacLachlan, he's like, I'm burning your body in front of 50 Secret Service agents who shot me to death. But the flames don't affect the slug. Then I shoot you with the laser, I guess. And it immediately turns to mush. So good time. I guess the plan worked.
And the most amusing thing is Kyle MacLachlan lives after being shot 1,000 times, but Michael Nouri dies from getting shot once.
Yes. So I was watching this scene going, what are you doing? He's in a shootout with the evil alien who's taken over like his partner's body.
Right.
And runs out of bullets and goes, whoops, stops, puts his hands up. I'm out of ammo. Don't kill. I've watched you murder 50 people right now. I think I still run for cover or something. Don't just stand there. You know he's going to shoot you, you silly bastard.
Ding dong daddy-o.
Now, as a child watching this movie, I vaguely remember the ending scene, but it really hit me what happened. So Michael Nouri is basically on life support.
Right.
He's in a coma, but is not going to last. He'll be dead in 5 minutes. Kyle MacLachlan shot 30 times, also in the hospital, but basically fine. He's not in handcuffs anymore, even though he tried to assassinate the senator, as far as everyone knows. He's just free to wander the halls. He goes in there and stands over Michael Nouri and opens his mouth, and then like a beam of energy comes out of his mouth into Michael Nouri's mouth. Kyle MacLachlan slumps over, dead at this point, and Michael Nouri's eyes pop open. I think as a child, I thought that he used special powers to heal Michael Nouri.
Right.
But that's not what happened. That is not what happened.
But see, here's the interesting part. Because when they did the transfer before, there were no beams of light.
So it's a different type of alien, is what we think, right? That's how I
thought it was healing him too, but then I thought, because he did open his mouth. Right. So now Kyle MacLachlan wants his life. Because what happened right before, he didn't just like kill him. He died. It was going into, all the lights were going off on the machine, and Kyle just turned them off. Because apparently the machine's not hooked up to a nurse's station somewhere where people would come running in. There's no code blue
alarms echoing in the halls? No.
He's been dead for 6 hours. Who knew?
Until the smell seeped into the hall, yes.
So, yeah, I guess that is a question. That is a question. Because there was no light.
I don't think it's a question. I think Kyle MacLachlan...
You think he jumped in?
Yes. I think that's the only way you can interpret this, is Michael Nouri is dead. The friendly alien, Kyle MacLachlan, is now inhabiting his body.
But that doesn't make any sense, because when the body dies, then the host can't use them anymore.
Right. That's the only question, because it's true. It's like he was kind of acting like Kyle MacLachlan. So this is not really a happy ending. Michael Nouri's family man, wife, and young daughter is now not. It's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. You're not my dad.
He's not going to have any of the memories, because basically the daughter was like giving him the look.
Right, the same look that she gave him in the bedroom when he was Kyle MacLachlan.
He's not going to remember, unless he has a good memory. He's not going to know his daughter's middle name, when she was born, anything. Are you just going to claim to have some kind of amnesia?
Something? I mean, because here's something else. Usually in these kind of 80s cop movies, your central protagonist, the police officer, usually has like an ex-wife that he hasn't seen, and he hasn't spent time with his daughter, because he's kind of a driven police officer. Like he's bad in marriage. This movie kind of doesn't do that. It's like, yes, he's dedicated, but he clearly still has a loving relationship with his wife, and he comes home for dinner and let me. You're putting down little Sally to bed. I'm gonna pop in and give her a kiss on the. Like, everything seems cool, because I guess then that kind of lends itself so that when Kyle MacLachlan takes him over, like on some level, you're supposed to think Kyle MacLachlan is doing a good turn.
Right.
I guess your husband is dead, so now you get fake dad. I'll be your pretend father and pretend husband. I guess, I don't know.
Or Kyle MacLachlan sacrificed himself to give life to him.
That would be a better way to do it. But if you're going to do that, you need to make clear that that's what's happened. Like, there needs to be a moment where Kyle MacLachlan, like Michael Nuri's waking up and Kyle MacLachlan is still kind of there going, I gave you the gift of life, or, something. Instead of just, he flumps over like all the other times.
Right.
He's dead. Now there's a corpse lying next to the bed, and now you pop your eyes open in a creepy way and kind of look around.
Well, I mean, he was in a coma. I say the end is undetermined.
Okay. Agree to disagree.
Just because we're assuming they're the same type of alien and that there was no beam of light during any of the other transfers.
Well, I'm gonna blow your mind. There was a direct-to-video Hidden 2 that came out in the 90s. You're gonna be shocked to realize no Kyle MacLachlan, no Michael Nuri.
Well, interesting. What does that mean? Does Michael Nuri jumped out of his face and jumped into his wife and exploded the whole family?
The actor said, "I ain't coming back for a direct-to-video sequel." Is what?
Yeah.
Same characters.
Bullshit.
Let's see. The good alien has been inhabiting Tom Beck's body.
Okay.
Which is not a good choice. It's a weird choice to do, because I don't know. It makes you go like, what the hell? Why it should have been Michael Nuri lives.
Right.
Right? Or, like we said, Michael Nuri is critically wounded, but Kyle MacLachlan uses alien abilities to heal him, or something along the line. The body that he switches into the body is weird. That's a weird choice to make for the movie.
Especially because it doesn't make sense. If Michael Nuri's dead, then you shouldn't be able to pop in there anyway.
Then you shouldn't be able to. Right. Sweet Jesus. Anything else?
No. I'm glad I never saw this movie before.
In spite of all these questions, I enjoyed most of this movie. I thought it was fun. It's got a lot of fun car chases, a lot of fun shootouts. There's bizarre 80s strippers. Kyle MacLachlan doing Kyle MacLachlan things. I enjoyed it. Let's go behind the scenes, shall we?
Do tell.
Claudia Christian, who played Brenda the stripper. She likes to tell two stories from this movie. The first story is that the producers found her breasts visually inadequate. So they went and designed her costume to emphasize her butt, which is why you get the crazy butt cleavage outfit that she wears later.
The thong is sewn into that. It is crazy. I mean, I have enough problems with bodysuits. I can't even imagine now just having a piece of wire just digging into your hoo-ha.
Hopefully it's not a piece of wire, but who's to say? The second is she received an eye injury from firing all the crazy guns that she fires. Evidently the prop gun, something kind of blew back at her face and struck her cornea and scratched her eye. So she had some issues there briefly. But when she later was working on Babylon 5, that science fiction series, when she'd fire the crazy laser guns, she would still kind of turn away instinctively, even though they were just pieces of plastic.
Just in case.
Just in case.
PTSD, brother.
That's right. Of all his films, director Jack Shoulder says this is his favorite. I don't know who Jack Shoulder is. We're gonna have to look and see what other
I
films
guess
he's referring
so.
to.
Yeah.
Michael Nouri.
Shallow Pool.
He turned down the role of Martin Riggs in Lethal Weapon to do this movie. Mel Gibson got that role instead.
Ooh.
That seems like a bad move.
He had sound reasoning. I would love to hear what he thought about that. Yikes.
I would love to hear the reasoning as well. That makes no GD sense. During an interview, Claudia Christian, Brenda, said that she got her role on Babylon 5 because she mentioned that she had prior experience.
Alien experience.
Yes. Wah, wah. Kyle MacLachlan and Chris Mulkey, who plays the first evil body, worked together on Twin Peaks a few years later.
All right.
They're both in it. There you go. Director Jack Shoulder was inspired by Sidney Lumet crime films when approaching the cop scenes. There you go.
Give me a break.
Who knows?
Give me a break. Give me a break.
Well, if you watch this movie, it's kind of like Alien Nation, where it's basically a cop movie that they add kind of science fiction elements to. Something to think about.
Did I see Alien Nation? Did we do that one? Is that the one with the consume?
We did that one. No, that's They Live.
Oh, They Live.
They Live, which you've also done on this show. Alien Nation is Mandy Patinkin and James Caan are cops.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, Jesus Christ. That was a much better film. That was a much
didn't feel that way at the time. I'll tell you
what.
But
in comparison, that was a much better film.
I want to say that again. Mandy Patinkin and James Caan are cops in futuristic LA. Mandy Patinkin is an alien. So there you
go. They had no chemistry. It was fantastic.
Oh, it's dynamite. Dynamite. Let's see. 3 years after Kyle MacLachlan starred in this film, he originated his signature role as another youthful FBI agent, Dale Cooper, on Twin Peaks.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. We talked about that briefly. Let's see. I love these things. These actors were considered for the role of Tom Beck, the Michael Nouri role.
Okay.
Considered. It doesn't mean that.
That means the idea popped into someone's head. Like, what about this dude? What about Tom Cruise?
It's totally ridiculous. So here's the list.
Okay.
Mel Gibson.
Mandy Patinkin.
Harrison Ford, Kurt Russell, Christopher Lambert, Michael Keaton, Richard Dreyfuss, Ron Perlman, Stephen Lang,
Richard Dreyfuss!
Jeff Bridges, Nick Nolte, Gary Busey, Tommy Lee Jones, Richard Gere, Burt Reynolds, Don Johnson, Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Bruce Willis. So basically every male actor working in action films in the 80s. Good times. A character named DeVries appears in Dune and this movie. Remember, the first killer's name was DeVries.
Okay.
And they both star Kyle MacLachlan. These are not helpful things. Good time.
Not at all.
The transfer of the alien in the hospital bed, where the thing crawls out of the one dude's mouth and kind of crawls.
Yes.
In. They used fake heads, obviously, to show this stuff. But the actor who played the old man in the bed was so disgusted seeing the alien go into his fake head, he had to leave the room. He refused to watch.
Ew.
He was like, I'm out.
I was mouth sodomized by an alien.
Pretty much. Very upsetting. The original ending of the film had the alien disguised as the senator getting away. There you go.
Huh. All right.
Let's talk about the cast and crew, shall we?
All right. Jack
Holder was the director of this film. You know him from The Hidden, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge, something called Renegades. Oh, I know Renegades. It stars Kiefer Sutherland and Lou Diamond Phillips, where they are trying to stop a crime or something. I don't know what they're doing. And something called Arachnid, starring...
Not to be confused with Arachnophobia.
No, this is Arachnid, starring no one I've ever heard of. So, of all these films, The Hidden is his favorite. So there you go. Let's talk about the cast. Kyle MacLachlan played Special Agent Lloyd Gallagher. No, he isn't. He's an alien. You know him from Twin Peaks.
David
Dune. He played
Lynch.
Paul Atreides, absolutely.
Uh-huh.
He was the mayor in Portlandia.
Yes, he
Blue
was.
Velvet. And all sorts of other weird stuff.
And
Talked about Sex
in the City, and the mayor of Portlandia, same character. Still
They're
Kyle.
all the same character.
It's also Kyle.
Michael Norrie played Detective Tom Beck. You know him from The Hidden. He was in Flashdance, as I said. Wasn't he a police officer in Flashdance as well? I'm trying to remember.
Maybe. No, or yeah, she was a steel worker. What was
But
he?
on a Saturday night, she'd start doing her flash dancing.
I remember
there you
thinking he was kind of foxy, but I think my God, I haven't seen that since it came out. But I think he was kind of dickish.
He was in The Terminal in 2000.
Not the Terminator, but the Terminal.
The Terminal, that's with Tom Hanks. And I literally just watched this movie a couple days ago.
What?
The Proposal with Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds. He played her boss. So he's still working. He's still doing things. But, his bright light of being the star of the movie was kind of small there.
I think he did some soap opera work too, because that's about the right level.
Claudia Christian played Brenda Lee Van Buren, the stripper.
That's a long name.
That's what I'm saying. You know her from Babylon 5. She was in Half Past Dead.
She looked really familiar.
Yeah, she's been in some stuff. Atlantis, The Lost Empire, which was a cartoon.
No.
And she was in something called Hexed as Hexena. Don't know it.
Don't know. Apparently I don't know her at all, because I didn't watch Babylon 5.
Lieutenant Ed Flynn was played by Clu Gulager, which we know him from Return of the Living Dead. Yeah, he was Bert in Return of the Living Dead. He's also in Feast, Nightmare on Elm Street. He's in Freddy's Revenge as well. Look at that.
Ooh.
And he was in The Last Picture Show. He did a bunch of stuff in like the 50s and 60s, like cowboy stuff.
Keep working.
Edo Ross played Cliff Willis. That was Tom Beck's partner. You know him from Red Heat. He was Itchy in Dick Tracy. He was in Lethal Weapon. He did both movies, evidently.
Too bad, Michael Norrie.
That's right, exactly. And Richard Brooks played Sanchez. You know him from Anticipation, Being Mary Jane, The Crow, City of Angels, The Hidden. God. But we only know him from Law and Order, the original. Yeah. I think that's all. Any other cast members you want to know about?
And of course, we mentioned Danny Trejo.
Danny Trejo. Let me see if I can find him, because he literally has one line. He's in one scene. I'm not going to look for him. Oh, here he goes. Danny Trejo plays Prisoner. You know him from Machete, From Dusk Till Dawn, Predators, and Machete Kills. So there you go.
Honestly, has he been in more stuff? It seems like
I only do like the top few movies. I don't do their entire career.
Literally, I think it was in Shark Boy and Llama Girl. He was like everything Rodriguez did.
Yes. Well, because
he's the kindly uncle or something.
He thought Danny Trejo should be the Mexican Charles Bronson.
I can see that.
I can absolutely see that. And he was in Charles Bronson movies as a criminal.
Yeah, Charles Bronson. He kind of looks like Charles Bronson.
He does.
I totally see that.
Kind of cranky face, facial hair, mustache. Absolutely.
That's what we need. We need some more kind of noir, beaten down detective movies. I think we're ready for that. And that could totally be Danny Trejo.
Shall we talk about the ratings?
Lay it on me, brother.
The movie currently has 75% on Rotten Tomatoes. The audience score, 72. There you go. Let's talk about the top critics. Are you ready?
Yes.
Roger Ebert says, a thriller that talks like a thriller and walks like a thriller, but has more brains than the average thriller.
What the f?
4. 3 out of 4. There you go. Vincent Canby of the New York
Wait a minute.
Times. What?
He's referred to this as a smart and snappy detective movie? Is that basically my...
He says a sleeper that talks and walks like a thriller, but has more brains than the average thriller. So there you go. It's a thriller.
So, a smart thriller. That's what he's saying.
That's what he's saying. He loves it.
Maybe he had too much cocaine out of the back of the little Ferrari at the dealership. It was the 80s.
We can't count it out. Anything's possible. Vincent Canby of the New York Times says, a jokey sci-fi horror movie about the desperate pursuit of a vile thing from outer space. 2 out of 4. So that's considered rotten. What is your rating of The Hidden?
I'm going to give it 2 shots in the dick out of 4, out of 5, out of 10. I thought it was boring. I thought it was boring.
Oh, no.
I'm sure. I just watched it 5 minutes ago. It's still very fresh in my brain. Don't worry about that. No one gave me any cocaine to say otherwise.
It's not too late. Let's see. Okay. I give it, 3 out of 5 greasy mouth slugs going into an old man's mouth. I mean, I thought 3 out of 5. I thought it was fun. It's not great or by any stretch of the imagination, but I thought it was fun. I thought it did what it was supposed to do. Michael Nouri, he plays it real. I mean, he plays it like a real detective. Kyle MacLachlan does weird Kyle MacLachlan stuff.
As he do.
As he do. There's a lot of car chases, a lot of gunfights. Not the best movie you'll see, but I think it's fun. You know, it's a rainy Saturday afternoon. You got nowhere else to be. You stumble upon it on Channel 5. Let it roll is what I say. No?
I don't even know what the hell you're saying anymore. I'm very disappointed in you and your opinion today. Shame.
Shame. Ring the bell. So, thank you very much. Go to our page on Twitter at TPodcastTWDie. Go to our page on Facebook at The Podcast That Wouldn't Die. Aaron, are we on Instagram? Are we on Twitter?
Yes, we are. We're on the Twitski. We're The Podcast That Wouldn't Die.
I already knew that one. Are we on TikTok?
We're on the TikTok, which I had to get myself off of because it's too addicting. And oh my God. We're the TikTok. We are The Podcast That Wouldn't Die. We're on Instagram. We are The Podcast That Wouldn't Die. We are on Friendster. We're The Podcast That Wouldn't Die.
We're not on Friendster. Oh, sweet Jesus. You can also email us at The Podcast That Wouldn't Die at
Gmail.
At Gmail. I'm messing up. I'm having problems. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So don't forget to like, share, rate, and review. Won't you? Aaron,
please?
Are you on social media, for goodness sake?
I'm on Much Media. I am on the Instagram. I am Don't Feed the Pigeon and The Cult of Aaron. The pigeon is about pigeon.
Good stuff.
As in me as the pigeon. I am on, it's not social media, but I'm on Artsy and First Dibs, Aaron Doherty. Go buy my art. Won't you please?
Won't you please? Next week, we'll be discussing the horror classic, It's Alive, starring a crazy mutant baby. And we're going to have a special guest. The former host of Voluntary Input, Leo Allen, will be joining us. So that'll be a nice little treat.
And spoiler alert, It's Alive is a better film. I never thought I'd live to see that day.
So check that out. If you want to watch it, send any favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, or questions. You can watch it on Amazon Prime. I think you had to pay $2.99 or something to watch it.
You made me spend like $7 this week.
Absolutely.
You need to pick more free movies, you son of a...
It's hard to do. It's hard to do. So there you go. Thank you very much, and be well.
Bye, children.